Did you know as a basketball player that point guards are a dime a dozen? This is the hardest advice that I was ever given. When I went down to the States, when I played in the D League for the Bayhawks for the training camp and I got injured, blah, 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 that's a whole different story. The coach said to all of the guards, point guards are a dime a dozen. And that blew my mind for a second. I was like, no, it can't be. Man, like, that could be the same for any position, but it's not. And I'm going to explain it to you why they are a dime a dozen today here on this video, but I'm also going to give you some advice as to what you can do to become a better point guard if that's your position, and also give you some motivation because this video is not meant to put any players down. This is a heart-to-heart talk that coach had to us, and that I'm going to have to you. It is true. Point guard or being a point guard is the hardest position to accelerate at or to excel at in basketball. You may have great ball handling skills, but if you're training to become a point guard, they all have that. At a certain point, everyone knows how to dribble at an extremely high level. Next is shooting. More and more players, it doesn't necessarily mean point guards, but more and more players are able to shoot the ball at a very high percentage. So you may be wondering, well, that's the same for any position, but it's not. If you're a center and you're a true center, there's only so many people in the world who are 6'8", 6'9", 7 feet tall, 7'2". There's only so many people. And if you're looking at the average height of a human is just under 6 feet tall, you're now looking at the ability to get into that center position is a lot harder, which is why I always tell players, whether or not you're a short player or a tall player, that you need to train for every position. Because I've seen many players who were guards who later became centers because of their height. And many players who were centers, like myself up until grade 11, who turned into a guard. But it is true. It is true that being a point guard, there's a lot of really good point guards out there who just cannot make it at the pro level. Because it's not just their height. It is not just their skill. This one tip that this coach gave me and gave everyone else was an amazing tip that I wish I knew when I was younger. And that tip is you need to be different than everybody else. Which is probably why I made it to that point. I sent them highlights, even though I was already talking to the guy. Sent them highlights. And the one thing that really put me aside from everybody else was the fact that I was 6'2", was the fact that I was 210 pounds, and because of that, and my ability to drive on players, it wasn't my fancy ball handling skills. I don't have any. I have accurate, what I need to get done, and when I need to do it, ball handling skills. And with those skills alone, allowed me to be able to excel into that level. And what I mean by that is, I had the ability, the size, to drive past any other guard in the training camp because I was 6'2", the other guards were averaging 6 feet tall, I was 210 pounds, the other guards were 160 pounds. Even though they were being able to become faster than me, I was stronger than them, so there was not much they could do even when they were hanging off my arms when I was driving towards the rim. My shooting ability also helped me out because I was a driving slashing point guard, I was also a shooting guard, they called me a swing guard, was the fact that now I can stretch the defense and make that defender come to me because I can shoot that shot. I was different. Can you be different? That is my main message today. And being different is insanely important to become a very good point guard. Really good at any position. It doesn't matter if you're a point guard or a shooting guard or a forward or a center. You need to be different than everybody else. You need to bring in your own version of that position. So, what I'm asking you is, what can you do right now to become a better player by being different? So I'm going to give you a really good example. A player that I coached a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say his name for privacy reasons, but he was not a great shooter. He was very similar where he was stronger than a lot of point guards. Very similar to me where he was stronger than other point guards and other guards. He was a bit taller than other guards as well at that age. It was grade 9. But he was able to drive past those players and make a play. He was okay at making layups. He was good. But his ability to pass and read the defense, I foresee that he is going to become a coach someday just because of his ability for court vision and the fact that he was very similar to me where he was always looking up new plays on how to do things. That's what made him different. He was smart. He was able to see the defense. He was able to see what the defense was doing, what they were giving him so that he can make a play out of it. He was able to understand, hey, if I drive towards the gap, before I even teach them that, anyone really taught him that, he was able to drive towards the gap because he knew that those defenders would collapse on him and he could kick that ball out. That is what makes a player different. What can you do to become different than the other guards out there? What can you be different than the other forwards out there? How can you be different as a center? Why do you think that center position has turned into a more ball-handling shooting position? It's because there was a center, quite a few centers, Dirk Nowitzki being one of them being a shooter, but there's other centers who are now stretching their game out. And why? Because the game has changed. There's been a couple of players in different positions that has now turned the NBA and turned professional basketball into more of a shooting league because the three-point shot is a lot more valuable than a two-pointer, generally speaking. There are still really good examples as to why a layup is more important than a three, but generally speaking, if you shoot a three high enough percentage, it's going to really open up a lot of options. And obviously, if you shoot more than 32 or 34% from the three-point line, you're going to be able to score more than if you did when you went down towards the paint. So, how can you be different? That is the real message behind this video. Now, let's look at Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a great example on how to be different. He has that Mamba Kobe Bryant attitude, where never give up. Go get that charge. Who else has so many charges? Nobody. Nobody has as many charges in the All-Star game than Kyle Lowry. That's what makes him different. What makes Fred VanVleet different on the Raptors? His shooting ability. His ability to drive and somehow get that layup in when he's got three defenders over him who are taller than him. Right? What makes somebody like Dwayne Wade, even though he dabbled once in a while in the point guard position, it was his athleticism. Maybe for you it might be your moves, your ability to really get that defender off balance so that now you can drive on him. That's not just dribbling skills. That's your ability to also psychologically make him think that you're going to pass over there or drive over there. Similar to how LeBron James does those no-look passes where he's looking over here and he kicks it over there. Very similar. What makes LeBron James different than other forwards? It's because LeBron James is able to handle the ball at a competent level, but also because he's just ridiculously stronger than anyone else in the league. And I still say LeBron James is not a good three-point shooter. So what can you do to be different so that now you can become better? I hope that this video has really gave you something to think about. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.